My name is John Hodgman, and I wrote about the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And this is Heidi Julavitz, who wrote about the state of Maine that used to be part of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
I was actually unaware that this whole thing had happened until...
Well, I'll just give you a little history lesson. Maine was part of Massachusetts until 1820. And then when we needed a free state to balance out the slave state of Missouri, we came up with a compromise in 1820. We made you a state. That's the only reason.
Portland, Maine is considered Massachusetts if you live north of Portland. And so I grew up in Portland.
Is that true?
Yeah. When
It's
I say
considered Massachusetts?
Yes, and that's meant, as you can imagine, as a slight.
But the people of Maine must feel under assault.
They absolutely
They must feel under assault from tourists?
Absolutely, and somehow I've been categorized as an assaulter.
Well, simply because you are not benefiting from the tribal inclusion.
Exactly. They made it really hard to get a marriage license there. It took like about 6 weeks,
Really?
actually. Yeah. The person who issues the marriage licenses in our town was training, and the marriage license person's only there like 2 hours every week.
Right,
So
it's a sweet gig.
it was a really good gig. She made, I don't know, like $50K or something. It was kind of amazing. Pretty great paying jobs up there.
$50,000.
Yeah. And anyway, so I went in, and every time I went in, she would discover something else about me that she hadn't studied yet in clerk school. And so subsequently, she couldn't again issue the marriage license.
Did you feel that this was persecution
Oh, no.
by like a tribal community that didn't want to accept you?
No.
Or did you think it was just run-of-the-mill incompetence by a bunch of idiots who live in Maine?
I think that it was a little bit of a
gotta
test
be one
to
or the
see
other.
if I was going to go all Manhattan on her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maine, a libertarian-minded, keep-to-your-own-business kind of state, does not take kindly to written assessments, possibly because to write about the place is to say, I am an authority, and nobody by Maine standards is more deserving of a beatdown or of persecution or expulsion than an authority. If my husband and I ask our neighbor, who is a professional boat builder and former electrician, if he can lend some advice about boat building and wiring, he'll first demur that he knows nothing in the slightest about boat building and wiring. Of boat building, like $3 million 90-foot yachts, he says anybody can do it.
How long do you think you would have to live in Maine before you were considered to be of Maine?
It's too
Not
late.
your generation,
It's
right?
too late for me now.
What about your daughter?
It's too late for her. She's already spent the first, well, she was born there too,
Right.
but she left when she was 4 months old. So
If
it's
you
too
lived
late
there
her
for the
now.
rest of your life and your daughter never left the state, do you
No.
think by the time,
No.
what about her daughter?
If her daughter was born there and never left, but there would still be a slight tinge of like, her mother hadn't lived there and her mother hadn't lived, you know? I don't know how many generations you have to go back before you're really bona fide, but they look into those things. you know?
Vacation Land USA.
I think it would be easier for me to become an Israeli citizen, I think, actually.
Any other questions, Dave?
I think that just about does it.
We got Tony Bourdain on New Jersey.
Thank you. You can rattle it off, Frank Sinatra and Jack Nicholson and all the cool people who came from New Jersey. The problem is New Jersey is next to New York. Everybody knows New York is cooler, and there's just sort of no way out of that hole. They should rename New Jersey, in fact. Call it not New York.
New Jersey, even now, when the whole country looks like Jersey, is still anachronistically a punchline. But then, within the imposed borders of childhood, it was a little green world. Tree-lined streets, eccentric backyards, each one different.
The thing that I keep coming back to is when the fumigation truck would come by to kill every mosquito on Long Beach Island. These big tanker trucks would come rolling down the short little streets with all the little vacation bungalows. And it was like the ice cream man was coming. All the kids would come running out of their houses. We'd all run behind the pesticide truck. Hey, it's the smoke truck, whoopee! You know, we're like 12 inches from the nozzle, pure DDT. What was I talking about again? no after effects, what can I tell you?
It smelled in summertime like cut grass and coffee from the Savarin Coffee Factory roasting beans in the next town. And even more sinister odors from the refineries along the turnpike. In fact, I wonder if the famous inferiority complex which Jerseyites rather famously acquire when meeting New Yorkers has its roots in a vestigial awareness that we come from a state that smells.
Have you ever lied about what state you're from?
Yeah. Technically, I was born in New York City. I was immediately whisked off to Bergen County, but this provides me with a narrow technical window in which to slither through should the opportunity, demand that. I've kind of embraced the Jerseyite in myself as I've gotten older. I love decaying beach communities. You know, for me, Asbury Park is a beautiful place. It may be empty now, but a lot of hopes and dreams and past there that I find really enchanting.
Thank you.
Proud son of the great state of New Jersey.
New Jersey, New Jersey.
3, 2, 1, stare.
My name is Daphne Beal, and I wrote about Wisconsin.
My name's Charles Bach, and I wrote about the great silver state. I guess in a caucus it would be called the great state of Nevada.
Now I'm feeling sort of intimidated.
I'm sorry.
America's Dairyland up against the great silver state. It's not just the Dairyland anymore, it's something else.
Is it the Cheesehead State?
Oh. Do we have to call it that? Yeah, I guess it is.
Much cheese coming out of Nevada?
Unbelievable amounts of cheese.
Kind of cheese.
Where in Nevada are you from, Charles?
I'm from Las Vegas.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
My parents are pawnbrokers in Las Vegas, Nevada, since I was probably 5 or 6.
When I grew up there, it was boring. There's a certain level of life in Las Vegas that's tremendously boring.
Here's how the biz works. You bring in your watch, say it's 18 karat gold, and you need a loan on it. You'd like to get 500. My dad weighs it and discovers the weight's a little light. It's not the greatest maker brand. You tell my dad you should get 500. Maybe you get pissed. Maybe you shout. You call my dad a dirty Jew. Maybe not. I don't know you.
Is there any gambling going on in Wisconsin?
Well, yes, there is a lot of gambling because there are a lot of Indian casinos. Right in downtown Milwaukee, you can go to Potawatomi Bingo now. Everybody thinks that in the center of the country you feel so landlocked, but when you can't see the other side of the lake, it's kind of a different feeling.
La Crosse, Wisconsin has more bars per capita, I think, than any town or city in the United States.
That might be true. Before last year, I hadn't seen Racine since a gray day in January 1996. Determined to fill in some of the missing pieces of the story of both the city and my family, I flew back to Milwaukee. And on a sunny November morning, I headed south with my mother as my guide and my baby daughter in tow.
Your ticket says you have 6 months to redeem your watch. After 6 months, if you haven't come back, the shop owns the watch.
Barns and fields line the divided highway's roadside. A few miles along, a small billboard nestled in leafy branches shows a close-up photograph of a pretty, if weary, teenage girl with the words, "Depression has many faces, recovery is possible."
My mother haggling with locals who needed to hawk their goods to help pay their electric bill. My dad dealing with the couple who brought in their family television in order to get baby formula. The former UNLV basketball star bringing back for the 9th time the watch he got when the team made it to the regional finals.
Farmland gives way to business parks and car dealerships. Then the inevitable strip malls begin unfurling in a dim parade of Starbucks and oodles of noodles and the like.
People always ask, what's it like growing up in Vegas? Most 5th graders don't have a teacher who regularly hawks his gold necklaces with your parents. And at the time, Las Vegas, specifically the happenings inside John Sloan & Jewelry, that little box of a storefront on 3rd Street, half a block from the Fremont, tucked neatly between the Tiger Room strip club and a 6th-floor parking structure where prostitutes sometimes worked. John Sloan & Jewelry, that was the world I knew. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I took so much time.